Emma Wagner's got a birthday coming up. Ready? All right, Smithville Board of Aldermen work session is now called to order. First item on the agenda is credit card processing. Rick.
Right. Thank you. Before we start tonight, I just wanted to say one item that came to our attention late last week. Bills for utilities should have gone out roughly around the second or third of the month, every month. For some reason, our processor of the bills started or sent us an email saying they were done on the 1st and then did not mail them until the 4th. We don't know if that 4th meant they hit the post office on the 4th, they were taken to the post office. We don't know if they went out on Saturday or if they went out on the following Monday. We did start hearing from some of the citizens that are coming in saying they just got their bills on Saturday or today. So if you are hearing some of that, we are following up with the people that do the bills for us. We have not got a response back from our follow-up questions, but we will keep on them and make sure that this isn't happening again. One positive thing is, as people are coming in asking for a copy of their bill, we're getting a lot of people signed up for emails and possibly ACH as well.
There you go. ACH. Okay. Digital bill, ACH. Click, go. Thank you for that.
All right. On the credit card system, we're coming to you tonight just to give you a heads up. End of September, around September 25th, Finance and Administration had a conversation with Tyler Technologies, our account manager. We were informed on that call that the partnership with the credit card processor we have, Elevon, is ending January 1st with Tyler. What that means is the working relationship they have with Tyler and Elevon will end. That does not mean credit card processing stops. What that could develop into is a working relationship between Tyler and Elevon that they don't play good together. It could go totally smooth. It could get pretty rough for that partner. We have been told that they work with one other credit card processor outside of Tyler, and that is Open Edge Payments, which was just recently bought out by Global Payments, which is what's happening in that industry quite a bit. The smaller ones with the cybersecurity and having to keep up with compliance is quite a bit on some of these smaller third-party processors. So what we're seeing is a lot of these smaller companies get bought up by the larger ones. Our only other option to go outside of the Tyler module is to go with this Open Edge. We have not looked into Open Edge at all. We have just got our quote actually yesterday from Tyler just to see what their module would provide to us. So at this point, we're kind of just looking for a little bit of guidance as we go through this on how you'd like us to look at. If we would go with Open Edge, look at them, everything comes out good. There's no guarantee that that partnership with Open Edge and Tyler stands the time as well. There's no long-term agreement. So we could be sitting here again in a year saying Tyler and Open Edge are ending their partnership and we're going to have to go with Tyler. So what I have here is what we currently look at when we look at a utility bill. So if I take a standard $100 utility bill, if you pay online, there's a $1.25 processing fee that pays for the website, security, cybersecurity. That will not go away with Tyler. If we went with Tyler, that would still be $1.25 for the online processing. Right now, we also have a processing fee per transaction of 2.5%. That is collected by the city of Smithville and then turned around and sent to Elevon at the end of the month. And then also you can have people come in and pay check or cash for $100 utility bill. That's what they pay is $100. Just, this is very preliminary information, but just with the quote that we received from Tyler, their processing fee is 0.72%. 0.72%. And that is with utility bills only. When they move to permits or any kind of business license, that percent goes to 3.75. The reasoning for that is a lot of those people are using, a lot of those contractors use rewards cards, and a lot of times that's higher than the 2.5%. So like I was saying in the beginning, right now we are just asking for a little bit of direction. We are definitely open to looking at Open Edge and see what they have to offer, see what their quote does in comparison. If with Tyler, there is no out-of-pocket expenses except for the card readers. We would need 2 of them. That would run between $1,000 and $1,500. Then also, they would need a 2 to 3 month implementation to get that set up if we went with their module. That's all done in the background. And then we would be down for about 1 hour when we convert on one day. And then, as I wrote in there, the possible reduction of the 2.5 transaction fee, that was just received yesterday with the 0.72.
Rick, what brought this on? Was there a reason to think that that Elevon and Tyler would not play well together, or?
No, this was a surprise to staff for sure. We were just having an annual update meeting with Tyler, covering everything. This got brought up, and we're like, well, wait a minute, we just did budget. We just got a lot of things settled, and now you're springing this on us. At first, we were all thinking they're done January 1st. That is not the case. That we will continue to process. This is something between Tyler and Elevon. This isn't something that the city has any kind of say in.
And that 2.5%, you said it goes to Elevon. Does it go to Tyler and then to Elevon, or just do we pay directly to Elevon?
We will end up paying on a monthly basis to Elevon.
Okay.
Tyler does have an option. That percentage fee does increase by a couple points, that all the money could be collected by Tyler. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to research chargebacks. We don't have to go after people that the payment went through and then 3 days later it got taken back. They do have that option. I don't think that's the route we would want to go, just because we lose a little control over our customers.
Okay, it sounds to me like Tyler really wants us to use them, right? They want us to
Sure,
play
absolutely.
all in their ball field.
If it wasn't for the Open Edge option, obviously it would be like a sole source situation. We would have to go with Tyler, but I think we owe it to our customers and to the city to look at Open Edge as well.
My thoughts on it, at least initially, are that we stay like we have now and go ahead and research Open Edge and whatever other options come up until,
Right.
I don't know. That's what my thoughts are initially.
And then the follow-up would be, do we want to continue passing on that transaction fee to the customer as well? That is definitely something that we want some guidance on.
I think this business is just going to go up, and up. Everybody's passing it on. I mean,
Right.
money's tight, so if we start paying for it, we don't have enough money.
Right.
Well, and before Alderman Wilson says it, ACH is free.
There you go.
Use ACH if you don't want to pay a fee. I go to a restaurant now, you pay the credit card fee. You go to a lot of retail, you pay the credit card fee. So they
Rick,
made it legal to charge it now.
what percentage of our citizens pay by credit card? Do we have a percentage?
By credit card, well, online, it's about.
Debit, credit, I mean, it's.
It's surprisingly low, actually. Last
It
time I
is.
looked at it.
It's around 33%. Now, that, the walk-in traffic might be a little different. A lot of times if they're walking in, they're usually paying by cash or check for the most part. ACH is around 20%.
It was single digits a couple years ago.
Yeah.
We got it moved.
So,
I'm gonna say that's still real low. In today's society and what people use online, 20% ACH is low.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we were single digits when we started that effort and putting it up online. And like Rick said, people are coming in right now to get their bills and we sign them up for online. But yeah, it's the cash and check still blows my mind. How many people I see walk in this
Yes.
building to pay their bill?
Yes. And surprisingly, there has been quite a few that have signed up to get, at least get the email, which is a step in the right direction. So,
And the ACH, for clarification, just when you sign up to come directly out of your bank, correct?
Right.
Just like it comes off your debit card.
I
Yeah.
will say I've been on it. They've heard me say this before. I've been on it from when it was very first implemented and I've just had one hiccup and that was when we did the switch from one processor to the other in the bill. But in all the years it's been offered, just one hiccup and it wasn't the city's fault and it wasn't anything from my bank standpoint. Works like clockwork. That's all I'm gonna say. I will say something else though here. Well, not so much about ACH, and I'm done with ACH, but that request for direction, I would like to see us really look at going in-house with it. Because if we can do that, where you hear that possible reduction in that 2.5% transaction fee, like in today's
yeah.
society, you know, with everything, other costs going up, if there's something that we could do to help the customers that still wish to pay by credit
Yeah.
card,
I
that
think-
we're looking at something to help reduce that.
I think it'd be most
Cost.
beneficial to have it use the Tyler modules since it's built for their software and it would be, when the upgrade has been not smooth. So if we go to change processors every couple of years, it's going to be not smooth.
right.
Using their own module hopefully will be a little smoother.
Yeah.
And we'll get, like we talked about, hopefully the tap to pay and other things with their own processor thing would work.
Based on our discussion with them, it just seems like the partnerships will get harder and harder to work with. Tyler wants to protect themselves with security and their cybersecurity. And the credit card processors are just making it harder and harder.
Especially when it comes to online credit card payment. I mean, we know our customers are our customers, but if we were selling widgets, it's ridiculous amount of fraud. So that's why they're protecting it.
no, I kind of, along the lines of Alderman Wilson, I mean, I think if we can do this in-house,
Yeah. Keep it with Tyler.
I would suggest before we do that, that we look at all the options, and then I would have the conversation with Tyler Technology also, that we're looking at other options to lower the 2.5% and see what Tyler, right now, they've said that they might look at it, or they might be able to, right? They haven't given it anything that they will actually decrease to 2.5%, right? Did they
Rick
say
just
they
said
would?
they
Well,
gave it to us at point.
It's 0.72% right
Oh,
now.
total?
Substantially
Their
lower.
processing fee
Oh,
is
okay.
0.72%. They have
And
not,
that's-
and they've made it very clear, they have not raised that in 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Because the
okay.
utility bill is a very safe transaction for them.
Right,
It's
exactly.
lower fraud, it's lower risk of things.
That's why their percentages are different when
Yeah.
it moves to a permit or business license.
That's good. That's a low one.
Yeah.
Just from what I looked at, that's a low one. Okay, that's good.
Right.
I missed that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Rick? Do you have the direction you need?
Yep.
Okay.
We will we'll get a quote from Open Edge, but be looking at Tyler pretty hard.
Thank you. All right, Chuck, we have a giant hole in the street. Let's talk about it. I drove by it this morning. I drove by it this morning.
Oh,
Check it.
Well,
They've opened up part of it, a couple blocks.
I'll show you a picture here in a minute, but let me just give you some background here. So contractors that work in the right of way we do require a right of way permit. The right of way permit is not the excavation fee permit. If they're working in the right of way behind, or they're not tearing out sidewalk or behind the curb, it's a $25 permit fee. And we do require a 2-year bond with that. And franchise users like AT&T or Southwestern, no, but Evergy, because they do it, I know that's old.
I know,
My bell.
my bell.
When Ma Bell does work in the right of way.
Leah
You know,
has no idea what
they-
you're talking about, Chuck. She just looked at you like, what is it?
Spectrum. Anyway,
Rotary dial phones.
some of the utilities, they do a lot of work in the right of way, and so we've given another permit. They can do $250 for the permit. It's an annual permit, and they can, do the digging in the right of way as many times as they need to, but their bond goes up to $25,000. So we do have some of our franchise users like Evergy just got the annual permit because they're pulling poles and putting in new poles and everything else in the right of way. So in addition to that, the excavation fee is based on if you actually take out some improvement, curb, sidewalk, or street. And what the excavation fee is, it's not a fee to repair the road because they're supposed to repair the road, but it's for the degradation or the loss of life of the infrastructure that they're tearing up. Anything you get, if you cut it or break it, you can glue it, you can patch it, but it's never the same as new. So we ran up against, on our commercial street project, for the sidewalk, AT&T has huge facilities in that right of way. It's behind the curb. We have a water line behind the curb. They have to maintain their utility until they relocate. The only place to go is in the street. So that's that big cut that you see. And they're doing an excellent job, repairing it. I mean, it's flowable fill all the way up and 10 inches of concrete. And after we get the sidewalk in and all the work's done up there on commercial, we'll come in and mill and overlay it. But when we figured what the permit fee based on our current schedule of fees were, it would have ended up $156,000, which is pretty steep. It wasn't intended to be that high. It was intended to really have people think, because we have had utilities look at options. Can we do it outside cutting the street? Can we bore the street so that they don't have to cut the street? Sometimes like plumbers and stuff, they have to cut the street, but they'll look at, can we bore part of it and then dig the hole and make it smaller? So it is persuading people to look for alternatives other than cut a big old hole in the street and don't worry about it, and we'll just throw some asphalt in it and call it good,
And then we get a sinkhole in 5 years.
and we get a sinkhole. So that's the purpose of the fee. It's not to gouge anybody. And with this project, it seems like it's a little excessive. AT&T did give us easements for the sidewalk project. They are paying for this whole installation. This is a picture of what they are dealing with.
It looks pretty great, you know.
Yes.
Somebody used to pull cable.
This is
It
at
makes
the
me happy to
intersection
see
of
terrible.
Commercial and Hospital, and this is where all their facilities come together and go into that building, and yeah, this is what they're dealing with. The
That's,
AT&T buildings, yeah, just to the right of that picture,
is that what, 1960s copper?
yeah. But somehow, some way, they're getting it done, and they'll have a big manhole that will be under the ground. All we'll see is a manhole lid, basically, and they'll have a big box under there that's gonna house all that equipment. And supposedly they're gonna straighten it up, I hope, so they
Yeah,
know
clean
what's
it.
what.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of abandoned stuff in there they can get
There
rid of.
probably is some.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what we would propose is for, these larger excavations, greater than 1,000 square feet, that we reduce that to about a $5 square foot fee versus 20. That would be, for this project, $39,000 fee. That's more than fair, I think, in what they're doing to the road and how they're making the repairs. They've done a really good job. Traffic control has been good. It's been tight. We haven't had any accidents somewhere.
Well, they reopened part of it already. They filled it.
And they've been opening it
Yeah,
as they go.
yeah.
Yeah. So they're pretty much.
And it looks
at
good. It looks a
that
lot better than
intersection.
Spire and the other ones that just
Yeah,
threw.
and they've done a pretty good job, but so what we're looking at is board direction. If you're interested in this, we would bring back the amendment. The schedule of fees is on the board's agenda tonight.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to bring it to you like an emergency. The contractor, we told him, because if we would have held them up pending the decision, they wouldn't have even started yet. And then it's holding up our project. they went ahead with the understanding, if the board doesn't want to change the fee, they owe us $156,000. But I told them I'd take a look at it and we'd bring this to the board and see what your thoughts were. And if you want us to proceed that way, we'll bring back an amendment to the schedule of fees next board meeting.
Big projects like that, we don't have a lot of them, do we?
This is the biggest one since I've
Yeah,
been here.
Well, I'm saying this is kind of a one-off thing. I
It
think,
is.
let's go with that amendment.
Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of co-location facilities here other than
Yeah,
AT&T.
for that kind of money, they could have milled and overlaid the whole road.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Chuck, who keeps track of the annual fee, the expiration of it, if someone has an annual fee?
Brandy does
Okay.
with our permits.
it's in
Okay.
Tyler Technologies, right?
Is
Yeah,
it?
It's probably is.
Tyler?
It's in that fancy software we pay for.
All right.
Not paper calendar anymore.
Yeah, I think it would be good to get something in front of us.
I concur. Yeah.
Thank you.
Shared roads again.
Shared roads. We were just talking a little while ago. When I first got here, the first thing that Cynthia gave me, and I still have it, and it's getting really tattered and stuff, is the shared road file. Here you go. I don't want it. Take care of this. And so, just going back a little bit, back in 2010, the city and the county got together and said, hey, there's some of these roads where the city's annexed on one side or certain properties. We have county residents in certain areas, shared road, basically. Who's gonna maintain it? You know, we can't do city in one property and then the county and then the city. It's gotta be something logical. So, in 2010 was the shared road agreement, came about. And, in October of 2022, we went ahead and entered into a what do we call it? Winter storm maintenance agreement with the county for those shared roads. So there's a difference, maintenance versus snow removal, because snow removal is more an operational thing. If we're driving down a road, shared road, to get to another road that we have to take care of, another part of the city, then why don't we just take care of that road? And say the county does the same thing. And we can use Virginia and 180th. They do 180th, we do Virginia. And it's just because we got to go that way to get to Forest Oaks. They got to go that way to get to one of their facilities. So instead of making more work for each other, the maintenance, on the other hand, costs money. The maintenance, we're not driving down those roads to maintain them. And anyway, so we've been working on this for a number of years, ever since I've got here. And this summer, we sat down with the county again, and we talked to them about Main Street, and we asked them, told them if they would go, this is staff's discussion with them. If they would fix Main Street, we would take that over. We would maintain it. We would make the recommendation to the board from the staff's perspective. We also agreed with them that we would recommend that city take over 176th Street from, what is it, Thomas Lane to H&H Lakewood. Thought we had it all worked out, drafted the agreement, and it came back, and it also had the city takes on 144th Street. And when I asked the question why, and they said, well, we've got the new subdivision, Mount Olivet subdivision, there at the intersection of Mount Olivet and 144th Street. And I said, we're not going to take on any more, so we're bringing it to you guys for direction. But right now, as you can see on the map, the blue line is what the county currently maintains in the shared road agreement. Virginia Avenue, 144th, and Mount Olivet. At that intersection, the Mount Olivet subdivision is, you know, from Wise Road to 144th to Mount Olivet. That's that Mount Olivet subdivision. We have a development agreement with the developer that he was going to but he's going to overlay 144th along his frontage. So from Wise Road to Mount Olivet, and then on Mount Olivet, he's supposed to crack seal and microsurface, which I know that part's done. I just don't know, I haven't been out there to see if the other part's done. The county did agree, because it's their road to maintain, that those were appropriate improvements. What they'd like us to do is go ahead and take all of 144th Street over from Virginia all the way to Mount Olivet. And, you know, they would still have Virginia Avenue left. The picture that I have here, you can see Virginia Avenue, which is theirs to maintain, is in pretty good shape. And then 144th from Wise to Virginia, it's the chip seal road. It's probably only a half inch, maybe not even thick. And it's got some potholes, it's got some flushing, it's got some patching, is the other part they want us to maintain. The part from Wise Road to Mount Olivet is going to be overlaid, like, because that's part of the development agreement. So we'd be taking on that additional maintenance. of
It's
that
gonna be,
road.
it's gonna be overlaid now, but that's only gonna get us 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years more than the rest of it's going
Right, right. But that's not, we still have to pay for it at some point.
Yes, yes. So anyway, just, it's more for information, just so the, I know some of the board members are newer to this. Back in 19 and 21, the city did request the county to develop a road district for the city of Smithville. Right now, on the monies that Road and Bridge receive, all cities receive 25% of that back for road maintenance. Road districts receive 80% of the remaining 75% in addition to that 25%. We don't get that 80%, that additional 80%. We get the 25%. So I gave you the example of Kearney, which has similar road miles to us. We're getting about $90,000. They're getting over $300,000. Makes a difference when you're talking about taking on fully in the city.
Yeah, and that's the point that on this, and Alderman Wilson and Atkins have sat here as long as I have, and every time we've done any development around there, the people that are not in city limits come here and tell us why we shouldn't do it. Unless they annex in, I don't want to take this road in because we're not getting tax dollars out of it.
So, do you have any comments? It looked like you did.
And the road district stuff, like you said, we got the petitions over to the county, they sat on them, and now it's illegal to do it with the new charter. So we're never gonna see that money either, so they can fix it and maintain it until those become city streets, and with all those houses being city houses, and if anybody disagrees with me, that's great, you're welcome to, but the roads we take care of, the people who built their houses on them and bought their houses on and paid for them when they're built, so we don't want to take on something that big and substantial for one or two houses that's not in the city limits.
So we do have 4 items. That's one of them for
Yeah.
sure.
And we do
Ma-
just want to make sure, we've heard one comment, but I'm assuming that silence is concurrence with the comment.
No, I agree with the mayor, and
It's not substantial, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the city tax is not high. It's a couple $100s. And
it is not, it would,
it would make Jason's life a little easier with who's in city limits, who's not on that road, but you know, that's
So-
that's the
so
choice
the
I'm
other
making.
areas are you, what is your direction on Main Street? Should we, North Main from 180th to 188th?
So Commissioner Withington and I talked a lot about this even before he was on the commission, and he came over and drove North Main. He's driven the roads in Paradise. I appreciate all the work they did to get North Main taken care of. It looks great. It's fantastic. That's one is built to our spec, right? It's there now.
We work
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
They fixed the drainage. We actually did the striping on it.
Yeah, and that one's fully
Not
encompassed in
perfect.
the city. It's just, there's a few houses on it that aren't in city limits, but it is still fully surrounded by city. So that one I have no problem with because it's in the middle of the city.
yeah, no, I mean, Chuck, in your
Yeah.
opinion, they did everything correctly, and there should be some life expectancy with some
Yeah,
maintenance.
and I know
along the
Herzog
roads.
did a lot with drain tile up
Right.
there to help with the drainage issues and.
Yeah.
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 No,
And that
I-
is one through discussions, we're in agreement that we would take, I mean,
Yeah.
staff is,
I'm
that's
fi-
staff's.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
North
I'm
Main, I'm-
comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Well, we just haven't come to the board. We kind of, Terry, who's the former Public Works Director, and myself said, you do this, I'll take this.
Yep.
What about 176 northwest from Thomas Lane to H&H Lake Road? We put $100,000 in our budget so that we could bring it up to a standard that we can maintain better.
Yeah, I know that road gets destroyed pretty easily 'cause it's pretty steep and
I-
it's one of those ones that's
yeah.
kind of, I think the majority of it, all the Whiskey Ridge is in city limits, but there's what, the corner jack at Tillman, and that's not.
City limits, it's only Whiskey Ridge on the south side, just east of the curve in the road.
Yeah.
The entire north side and then west of the curve in the road are all in unincorporated Clay County.
So all the Whiskey, but again, all the Whiskey Ridge property taxes come,
You're right.
flow through the
Right.
city.
And they have to drive on that road to get.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't maintain that. I mean, we put some money into, but I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
I think we just keep it consistent. If we get the property tax, we maintain.
So Mount Olivet, the 144th Street doesn't sound like you're interested in that.
No.
And I know the counties, I don't know if anything's changed in the last couple of weeks, but I know some of the subdivisions in the county that have come to their board have been denied. I don't know, Alderman Hartman, if you paid more attention to that than I have, but I know they're trying not to bring on more roads because it is a financial issue of bringing it. If they bring in a subdivision, they have to bring in that subdivision's roads, and they're kind of trying to push people to annex into cities. So that way it's city streets and city trash and law enforcement and everything else that comes along with it. So
Don't let me put words in your mouth, but the other one is, when should we accept maintenance? Are we saying after we've annexed fully the right of way?
I mean, if we can get them annexed in and the county can take care of that last section, then
Okay.
when we took over DD and F, the MoDOT paid us some money to fix those. So if the county wants to write a check and encourage those folks to annex in, they don't have to pay for all of it. They can do something like North Main. We can help out, work together on it. But
Okay, we'll talk with I think they'll have Terry retired, so they'll be looking for a new public director, and we'll talk to him.
Right. And it sounds like, Chuck, you're in constant contact or a fair amount of contact with Clay County roads and departments. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
solid.
and they've been submitting a lot more to Mark for grant money and other things. I mean, they're trying to get their roads up. I mean, there's a lot in Clay County. Excelsior Springs has some stuff that they put in for projects, and there's a lot that are county, and it's all spread over in Apache. I get why they want to clean it up, and we'd love to clean it up too, but we literally have a subdivision south of there, a subdivision north, a subdivision south and west, and we just got these islands of non-annexed pieces. So
Okay,
get them in.
appreciate the direction.
Jack loves cleaning up those boundaries.
We can't do what Kansas City does and annex 200 feet north of the road.
Yeah,
That's how they controlled their scenario.
right.
But they didn't,
They
did
did that
it,
at Forest Oaks, right?
but the legislature changed the law after
Yeah.
Kansas City did all that.
Yeah.
So now you can't do it that way.
Yep. All right. Any other things for Chuck? Got everything you need? Chief's turn.
Do you want me to do it or you want to do it, Chief?
He's back there.
So as the board will recall, or I believe everyone is aware, we are not able to go to the voters with a question of a tax without state approval. Over the last several years, we've made several attempts to get legislation approved at the state level that would allow us to take to the voters a question of a public safety sales tax. Last year, we were successful in getting legislation approved through the General Assembly. And after that bill was approved, the governing body had expressed an interest in putting the question of a 1/2-cent sales tax on last November's ballot. There's information in your packet that outlines the ballot question and what we looked at in review of public safety sales tax. That question was not approved by the voters in November of last year. The ballot language, the enabling legislation outlines that we must wait 12 months from the time of one election to the next. And the election last year is just shy of 365 days from this November. At the retreat this summer, the governing body directed that, or at least it expressed some interest in pursuing a public safety sales tax again at some point in the future. So we had agreed at that point in time that we would bring it back at a study session this fall. So that's why we're here before you this evening. The information you have before you is the history that I've outlined, including the language in the revised statutes that indicate that 365-day period or 1 year. One thing to call out as well is we basically get 2 bites at the apple. The statute outlines that if the second question is not approved, we must, no longer have power to impose the sales tax, and the authorization under this section is terminated. So we would have to go back and get legislation again. So I wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that. I think that's one thing that we maybe didn't understand completely as we were talking through this earlier. One of the other things that's not specifically outlined in the section of statute where our authority comes from, because this basically allows, the way this is written is municipalities of a 4th class with a population of X to Y in a certain county. So they're very specific, written to specific locations. The overall legislation requires that the funding level for public safety be maintained at the level prior to approval of a tax. So if voters approve a public safety sales tax, we couldn't supplant existing general fund or city monies already in existence with that new sales tax. Make sense? So we just want to make sure we have that information out there as well. We've had discussions that funding generally, if we took a question, the general question would be approval of a public safety sales tax. That's what the legislation allows. But our intent would be to kind of drill down and look at those items that the board would desire to see funded, and staff has recommended enhancements to officer compensation in order to aid in recruitment and retention of officers, to fund necessary public safety equipment and staff to support community growth, and then implementation of an animal control program. So those are very broad, but would allow us to address the key areas that we need through a public safety sales tax. We have reached out to the school district and the fire district and ambulance district, and it is our understanding that there are current discussions. I think even tomorrow night, the school district will be discussing the possibility of an April ballot question related to sales taxes and bond. And the ambulance district has also indicated to us that they are reviewing the possibility of, it was a bond question, I believe, for the April ballot. So as we said, we received direction from the governing body and wanted to determine if there is desire to place an issue on a ballot. If so, when? And those are the 2 key questions. If we receive direction from you all that we would like to place an item on a ballot, we would work to develop that language, bring it back. And staff would also strongly recommend that we work on a public information campaign, and we would put together kind of that campaign information so that you all would know what we would be providing to the public in terms of information on that as well.
I have a couple things here to talk about. One is, I guess the first one is that the no more than 9,500 and fewer than 10,800 inhabitants. Where is
That's
that
based on the
number?
most recent census,
On the
so
census?
2020.
Okay, so a 2020 census.
Yeah, I will note, it's interesting, and I forgot to note earlier, most of the communities in Clay County have a public safety sales tax, and have had them. Excelsior Springs was the first in 2005. Parkville's the most recent with in 2023, but Riverside, Parkville, North Kansas City, Excelsior Springs, Liberty, and Gladstone all have public safety sales taxes. Kearney is the only other
And we beat them by
in here.
Barely beat them by 2 people. So they fall into that so they can use the same.
They do
collection.
fall into, that's what I was going to say, is they fall into that enabling legislation.
Randy
But
you're
if our
welcome.
population changes, then we are no longer allowed through this
But
legislation too.
it's a
So
fourth
there's
class
window.
city with that population in a county of ours. Anyway, yeah, it's very specific legislation. I had to work with 2 different state representatives. Thank your husband for all the hard work he did on it. And getting into the governor's desk multiple times and still trying to get Jeff City to pass this as an overall legislation so cities don't have to go through this, which is not really made it very far at all. So every city that's passed this has had to go through years. We're on year 6 of this.
Most communities have had to go to the ballot multiple times in order to get this passed. Go to legislature multiple times and then have had to
Yeah.
go on the ballot multiple
And,
times.
and, you know, our staff and officer pay is something we talk about a lot, and this is the way we could afford to do it. So I'm all for getting it in the April ballot, but it's up to the rest of the board.
So the other thing that, thank you, Mayor. The other thing that I wanted to add to is that you mentioned the second bite of the apple, and that's another thing I was going to talk about. This is our last chance before going before legislature again. So we're up against that. We're also up against the population number. I don't feel, at least the feeling that I'm getting is that the constituents aren't ready for another tax. Now, whether it's the school board tax or whether it's another tax, I don't feel that another tax the time is right. Now, I think the time might be coming up sooner than expected, but we're also up against not taking a second bite of the apple and also the population. So for me, I don't think the time is right now, but I also hate to miss the opportunity. But if we do it at the wrong time, we're going to miss the second bite's gone. So that's just my feelings on it. I don't know if that's kind of, you know, one hand here and one hand other, you know, the other place, but I don't think that it's the right time right now to ask for a sales tax.
I think the public is pretty much aware of the shortage of officers. I mean, nothing personal against the chief or the department. It just facts are facts.
It's every
And-
city right now.
And I think public safety is starting to become more of a concern. And I mean, unless April is not a good time, I think we need to look at this issue on getting more public safety.
I mean, it's going to be a school board election. That's not going to be an alderman election. Thank goodness. But we do have some school board members up, and if they're going to have people, if the ambulance district's doing a bond, we should have a good turnout, better than a off year November.
Yeah. Cynthia, I know that the last time when we have an issue on the ballot, we're limited, but I'm going to be frank and open. I don't think we did a very good job of communicating this to the public. And I don't know where that buck stops, but I want to make sure that if we do this again, we do everything in our means within the law, within the statutes to communicate the importance of this.
And I want to make it very clear, like Cynthia said, this is not, oh, we're going to tax on public safety and then take that 700,000 out of the police budget and use it for
Correct.
sidewalks. We
You
can't,
can't statutorily.
cannot
we
legally
can't.
do that.
No, that's absolutely right.
So anybody who says that is
just.
just making up stuff and riling people up.
Yep. So I mean, and that's not a hit to anybody. I just don't think we did a very good job. I'm with Alderman Atkins. I feel like, and the mayor, I feel like we need to put this on the ballot, but I also want to, the caveat, we got to do everything we can to communicate the value of this.
And I just don't think, and I agree with what Alderman Hartman and Alderman Atkins have said. I agree that we're short of officers and other jurisdictions are short of officers too. We're on the same, I think, boat of trying to get officers, and that if this passes, you mentioned the other cities have them as well. That doesn't guarantee we're going to get any officers by passing this. I just want to make sure that if we do communicate it, that what we're communicating is right, that we're on the same page of communicating this for the right reasons that we're going to use it for, right? It's pretty broad. The statute's pretty broad as far as what you can use it for when it says safety. Now, does that mean that we can't change it down the road? I mean, probably couldn't move the money like the mayor had mentioned, but
It is illegal to move the money from
Yeah.
anything besides public safety.
So-
Our only public safety is our police department. We don't have fire or ambulance.
right. So if you used it for whatever public safety you used it for, I mean, that's where it needs to stay. But I think that if we're saying that it's going to go to the police department and that's it, and it's only for pay raises and retention, I think that's misleading. Unless that's what we're saying it's only going to go for.
Yeah, no, I think the last time the intent, and I would imagine the intent is to take some pressure off our general fund. Right now, our general fund funds, Cynthia, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
100% of
Yeah, and
public
so
safety,
this
with
public
the
safety.
exception of small grants. I
Right,
mean,
right. And I
that-
mean, we're at
yeah.
a $2.5–3 million, number
Every
now.
dollar of property tax goes to the police department.
Correct,
If you look,
correct.
at I mean,
Yeah,
it's $1 million
so-
in your budgets too, right? I mean, it's.
Right. I mean, so it's going to continue to go up as we grow as a city. We're going to have expenses. And I know we'd have to kind of refigure the numbers of what that would mean of a half cent because things will change. I mean, a
Half
little
cent
bit.
sales tax currently generates, it's still around that $700,000
$700,000, yeah.
And a large chunk of that, just like a large chunk of our tickets we write are not citizens, right? Property tax, everybody pays, but if you get pulled over and you're not from Smithville, you're paying for that, right? If somebody's here to buy groceries and they get pulled over, they're helping contribute to that cost.
I want to ask, like when you said that you talked to the other taxing entities, you talked to regarding a zoos tax or the library, you reached out to them?
Did not reach out to them, reached out to the big entities
think
in
they're
ta- I think
Smithville
they're
because
taxed.
those are the
But-
biggest that are going to take,
Right, but I
On here,
mean,
yeah.
still, it would be nice to know if they're considering it.
we can check.
Yeah.
And then to what Alderman Hartman said, I think, and no fault to anybody, I agree. I don't think it was very well shared with the community, the importance of what we're trying to do here.
I think
So
staff
with-
would agree with that as well. And that's why we want to bring forward a communication
And with
plan.
saying that, I really think we need to look at like the November of 25 to really give time to really do a very good
25 would be,
job of sharing it, having meetings like with HOAs, just the more we can get out with the campaign on it, I think the better instead of rushing it. So that's where I would look at November.
November 25, we don't have anything else on the ballot. If we're gonna go November, I'd go 26, but then it's getting,
I
Yeah.
just,
I think I agree, and if we need to go 26, I think that might be better. Just a question here, if we go for instead of half cent, if we go for, maybe this is in the weeds here, but if we go for 1/4% and it passes or doesn't pass, either which way, I mean, if it doesn't pass, can we go back again for a half cent?
No.
This is we can't go back again on another question. Yeah.
Right, it's, okay, we're stuck with this question, right?
Yeah,
The half
I mean,
cent.
we could go at a 1/4% because we have up to 0.5%.
Right.
But if the 1/4% doesn't go,
That's the
that's
second
our
bite.
second
Okay.
question. Yeah.
I would hate to keep kicking the can down the road for years and years. I would also, since I don't know, what is the best, most strategic date of voting that we should be looking at? And then bring our public awareness up to that date.
if we wait until November 26th, then we're past the date of if it passes and we start collecting, that's past the date of our next labor contract negotiation. There wouldn't be any funding there. It would be hitting general fund again. And then if it did pass, they're already under contract and it's done. Right, because the contract started January 1. We'd get 2 years from now, we'd be already through contract negotiations. Because we don't start collecting until, if it's on November, it goes into second
go-
quarter of,
It'd be second quarter
Yeah.
of 27.
it'd be well beyond the next
yeah.
contract year.
Yeah.
I think this April election is going to be a busy one out following a presidential, and I think we'll have turnout, and 6 months to campaign and educate is a long time.
I also have a feeling if we educate for a year to 2 years, it'll be forgotten.
Yeah, it'll be forgotten.
There is a window in which,
Yeah.
and one thing that I would, as we develop a plan, Melissa, you had talked about public meetings and like, one of the things, and we've not fleshed it out entirely as staff, but one of the things that I would envision is establishing, working with a committee that could help get the message out and coordinate that information. They can also help. There are things they can do that we can't do. We provide education. They
Yep.
can provide more information and can fund different types of campaigns. So we can go through that.
Yeah.
as well.
And our officers are now represented by entities that can do that.
And if that's something that the board would like to look at, I'd like to start thinking about that strategically as soon as possible, as well as to, all right, who are some people that you think would be good to be on a committee to help get that information out there? So we would be looking to you all for some assistance in that as well.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that the November 25 is probably, I think it'd be, I think since we only get 2 bites, I think the public will be more receptive to that than April.
November 25 is going to be a terrible turnout. It would be the only thing on the ballot so far. Yeah, because 26 is the next congressional
Mhm.
and state rep. 25 is, that's, we did 23 and we had,
23
abysmal.
was an off cycle.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was abysmal
Yeah.
turnout.
Yeah, my consensus is April of 25.
With a,
Marv?
with a committee.
With the committee.
Right.
April
definitely.
25.
April 25.
Shipley?
Yeah, as long as we can get something together and really push media and educate, I mean, the sooner that we can get it on, the better, I think. So if we can create a plan and be on board altogether, I think April would be best.
3-2. That's what I'm hearing.
That's fine. I just think really,
It will be a heavy lift. And so, but if we've got the direction and we know what you guys are looking at, we can come up. The nice thing
Here's the thing
is,
is
we are not the first city that's done this. There are a lot of campaign materials that we've received from other communities as well. We can work through some of that. We can put together some proposals and have additional work sessions throughout the fall, I guess, fall, winter, in coming up with that plan. Ballot language won't be certified till January, but by the time that we would have that language certified, we could have a good plan around and work through that. I think, I'm speaking, but I think Chief Gina, that's something that is doable.
Yeah, and the ballot language is written.
The ballot language is,
specified in
the
this
ballot
section.
language is easy. It's the campaign information.
Yeah,
But we have time up between now and the
We have
timeline.
lots of
And if something
time to put
happens
that
that we
together.
realize, no, is not a good idea this
Correct.
time, we'll always
We
bring it back
can,
up.
absolutely. That's exactly right.
and when the governor signed it, we, had agreed to not put it on April because the school was doing something and we did a November election and we didn't have turnout. And we didn't have time to put together a campaign or anything else. We've had a long time to think about it this time.
So
would-
it looks like we're looking at April, and there, you said there's going to be, it sounds like 2 other ballot initiatives on the ballot, so
Those
those
are
3.
currently under consideration, much
Okay.
like ours.
Okay.
They're
Bonds are a much
considering
higher
that.
pass rate.
So possibly 3 tax increases.
No, bonds.
Those would be bonds
Those are
and,
no tax increase bonds.
right.
School district does no tax increase bonds. They already have the funding source in place.
Yeah.
It's extension of the funding source to cover the
Extension.
bonds, which is, yeah.
Hey, I know. What? That's, we've talked about that for debt service levy.
Yeah, that's another discussion for another day.
Okay, so staff, do you have what you need?
I do believe. Yes. Thank you very much.
With
And
that,
we
I'll-
will have additional information to you before the end of the year with what we would look at for our campaign then.
All right,
so
with
that we
that,
can
I'll
keep that
entertain a
moving.
motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn work session.
I think you do have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
I.
Stand adjourned till 7. High school kids are coming. Be on your best behavior. Yeah. Proclamation. Maybe they'll show up.